You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show, live here on Business Talk Radio and social media. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life and career coach. And this show wouldn't be what it is without Mr. Al Cini, my friend, partner, and co-host. Welcome, Al.
You are entirely too kind. It's a pleasure to be here, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you.
I am so pumped up about that introduction. The doctor's in. I mean, some genius came up with this, and I just have to publicly thank you, Mr. Cini.
Well, you're quite welcome. If we had a little more money, we'd have hired an announcer, but I did the best I could.
You have a great voice, so I think it was terrific. And
well, thank you.
You brought us a great guest today.
Yes, I have. Her name, and I'm going to teach you how to say the name.
Okay.
It's Candida Seasock. Or Candida, but Candida it took me about a year. I've known Candida now for about 10 years. I guess it took me the first year just to get her name right. But you have never met anybody who is better at networking and assembling a network of competent people and then applying them to solving problems. You've never met anybody better than Candida Seasock. And it's going to be an exciting conversation with a lot of great tips on how to use networking to your advantage. Great conversation coming up.
Mr. Cini, can you share, how did you meet her?
We met through a mutual acquaintance. It turns out that my accountant knew her, and he brokered an introduction. I guess it's maybe 10 years ago. And, we connected on a whole bunch of mutual interests. And, the cool thing about Candida is you really can't wing one over on her. I mean, Candida has a lot of experience, and she's been over and under every aspect of all kinds of businesses. And she has probably the best crap antenna of anybody I've ever met. So as soon as you start to say something that doesn't make any sense, she will stop you right then and there and straighten you out. And I found that invaluable. She's a great friend and a great advisor and a great mentor.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing her with us, and I'm excited to meet her. I just want to remind our audience that we love to hear from you. We want to know you're out there, and we want to know what your thoughts are about the show. So you can actually text us your comments at 609-961-1699. And if you're watching, it's streaming across the page. If you're listening, again, 609-961-1699. We are live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch TV. So we'd love to hear your comments on them as well. All right. So I think we should not wait any further to bring out, I'm going to give it a try, Candida, or I wrote it down.
Candida.
Okay, I'm sure I
got it. A rose by any other name.
Without further ado, welcome to the program. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. And Mr. Cini, you are fabulous at introductions.
I know. I'm kind of hoping the fact that I owe you $50 is something you'll overlook after an introduction like that.
Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll forget about the $50.
Candida, where are you joining us from today?
Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Love Cherry Hill. I moved from Cherry Hill in September. I love it there. It's great.
Oh, good. Cool. Yes, it is a quiet, sleepy little town in a sense.
It is. And, I got to tell you, too, Candida is a road warrior, because I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with Candida when she's been stuck on the Schuylkill Expressway on her way out to Mount Vernon. And this is a professional who gets around. Let's just sort of put it that way. So
isn't it wonderful I'm not stuck on the Schuylkill anymore? Isn't it so wonderful?
Yeah,
it's totally wonderful. I mean, again, now with the pandemic, you get to do all this from home. But you still know more. You've still forgotten more about business than most people ever knew. And that's why I've been so excited about bringing you on the program, because I know there are a lot of areas we can explore. But I want to start with what I know are your two passions. Passion number one is building networks of competent people that you can rely on and trust. And passion number two is giving solid business advice that makes a difference to people that are trying to grow their organizations. So how do you do that with the executive leaders for advisory boards, Candida?
The Executive Leader for Advisory Board was developed in 2014 with an idea that companies under 200 million needed advisors that were culturally matched, selected towards the business and the owner, the founder, the CEO. And I wrote to 30 CEOs and said, what do you think about this idea? And they wrote back the same day, when are you going to start it? So that was the biggest hint. And so I started in 2014. Our first meeting was at the Four Seasons, one of my favorite places.
Nice.
And then we moved to the Rittenhouse when the original Four Seasons closed. And we started with the thinking that communication, conversation, and collaboration are important things to help companies to be upfront, to be honest, to be strategic, to understand, to support, and to help. And now in 2021, I guess we're going in our 7th year. We're very selective on the members. We call them advisors. They come from different kinds of businesses. We're not duplicating the individual. And through Growth Company Catalyst of eLab, we have companies come through, present, and we match the advisors. And then the company can choose their advisors or not. And that's a total separate relationship with the client and the advisors. We are a 501c6. That means we're a nonprofit. We don't take any monies for leads for our members or for matching them up. We only take money for dues so we can start telling the world we've been existing for the last 7 years. That's what it's about. And we have chairs for different programs. So it's evolved a lot. And my ideas of leaders are they have to be different than me. They have to be better than me. And I don't care if they shine all over the place and I'm in the sidelines. I'm good with that. I have wonderful chairs that are business leaders. Some own companies, some have sold companies, and they want to really make this an organization that helps small to mid-sized companies.
Well, I'm gonna jump in with what I know. I mean, I know a number of the people that are on in eLab with you. I know that they have a variety of backgrounds from, let's say, commercial real estate to finance to banking to technology, which is key. And eLab reminds me a little bit of the old Mission Impossible TV show where Mr. Phelps in the beginning finds out what needs to be done and then goes through, in this case, Candida's library of contacts, flips through the pages to find the right people to help, and you don't charge for this, which is, how do you say no to a proposition like that?
Wow.
The proposition is very simple. They want to be advisors. Some of our members are CEOs of, large companies. They have sat on public boards. They have sat on private boards. They want to be advisor to small to mid-sized companies because small, mid-sized companies keep the economy going when everybody else is going nuts with mergers, acquisitions, and whatever. So they have a passion for this. Otherwise, that's one of the requirements for being a member. The other one is honesty, conversations, integrity, and collaboration. So if they don't have that or a passion for it, they're not going to join because it's not about getting them business. It's about them being matched with businesses that can use them.
Well,
use their talent.
Congratulations on all your success. You said it's been 7 years.
Yeah, I think this year, we started in 2014, so I guess we're going in our 7th year.
So if you would share to our audience, listeners and viewers, how do you grow a business? What do you attribute your growth to?
I can tell you with much certainty that any of the businesses that have had strategy as part of their plan, and strategy, you make the strategy and it changes every year. It gets updated, it gets demoted sometimes, it gets enhanced. have made it quite well through this crisis. Obviously, the hospitality business, the nonprofits, education, they could have had all the strategy they needed. This was almost impossible for them to survive with profit, right? But businesses that had a strategy could move forward once last March and April were aside, because that's when you were trying to figure out what really was going to happen to you as a company. So strategically, if they had a great team, great employees, and what their business was about, this was the market that allowed them to grow. I really believe, I used to be a runner. So when I ran races, I was very strategic. I understood the path. I understood the road. I understood if I was having a good day or a bad day running. And as you get older, the days got worse. I got tired faster. So knowing yourself as a company, just like running, you know when to stop and you know when not to hurt yourself so that you can continue to benefit as a company, your employees. And your employees are your assets. You can have all the best technology in your office, all the best insurance, but if you don't respect and love your employees as they are the asset of your company, it doesn't move it. It doesn't grow it.
Wow. I know that one of your board members is Dave Bookbinder, and he preaches that all the time in the new ROI.
Yes.
Knowing you for as long as I have and having as many conversations as I've had with you, I know that caring about people and empathizing with people is just part of who you are, a very important part of who you are. And it wouldn't be possible for anybody to serve on eLab with you if they didn't share at least that value. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
And that is, well, and she'll kick you out as quick as, Candida, you are, as soon as she pushes that red button, the roof of the car opens up and you are popped out. And,
you are gone.
She knows, but she hasn't had to do that much because she has a great network of great people in it. How many people in eLab with you, Candida?
We have 44. They are from different walks of experience. And we'll probably get to 50 somewhere in the next year. Actually, we gathered more members throughout the crisis than we had a couple of years before, so that's great. I think that reputation, and if you look at the list of the members, they're fantastic. They're all tremendous, accomplished individuals. I always say they can run rings around me, so I depend on them if I recommend a client or something. Don't forget, I still have my own private business as an advisor to CEOs. And as my lawyer says, I'm more like a private confidential advisor. I don't have Twitter, so I'm safe. So that's really what sustains me and my family, my clients. I think they're a retainer. And I sit on a private board, which is fantastic. I always try to look at the value I bring rather than the title of what I have.
Well, that's
I like
key.
that. Yeah, that is key. We need to take a break for a commercial, but I just wanted to mention, I really like that running analogy because I've been a runner, but I also wanted to add something. There are plenty of times that I went out running when I was injured. And I paid for that later. Yeah. And I think, that's the same thing in business, right? If you're not paying attention to the areas where they need focus, it's going to show up one way or another.
That's very true. Yes.
So with that being said, we'll just run along to a commercial break and we'll be right back.
We'll be running right back.
Right back.
Great.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAP partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAP partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. My name is Al Cini, and as always, I'm honored to be working alongside our host, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And today we're talking to a really, really great old friend, young friend of mine named Candida Seasock.
Glad you corrected yourself.
I know. We both get younger every year. I don't know how we do that. But Candida, for people who are listening on Business Talk Radio, the eLab URL is advisory-boards.org. Just want to make sure they're hearing that. And yes. Dr. Jacalyn scrolling that across the screen for people who are watching. What are your? I know you do this for free. It's incredible to me. You provide accepted, experienced experts on boards as needed to solve problems that your clients have. These are businesses of all kinds and all over, I think, the Delaware Valley. I want to make sure that I get that right. You serve clients in the Philadelphia area. Is that right?
Basically, yes, because someday when we are allowed to be out, I'm sure that the advisory board meetings might be live in person at the client site. So our advisors also sit on board of directors, private and otherwise, right? So
okay, great.
It is advisory, but the organization is more on the advisory side.
Okay, so from the point of view of people watching and listening, if you own a company and you're experiencing a growth challenge, whatever that might be, or if you're having a difficulty that you need help overcoming, you can contact Candida and eLab and get help at no charge to you from some of the smartest people in the area.
You can, we can take it through a test drive process on what an advisory board would do for you. But if you engage the advisor, the relationship and any stipend or any business you do is with you and the advisors we help you select. The organization itself does not take any money for that.
Okay, great. But I do want to point out, in those introductory conversations, a lot of problems can be solved.
That is correct.
You know, you get a hold of the right people under the right circumstances, and something that's been plaguing you for months or even years could suddenly melt away because now all of a sudden you're connected with the expert that has the answer. And I think that's just a wonderful proposition.
Yes, and it's serving the market well, even through this wonderful crisis of ours. We've been having a wonderful throughputs of clients that are engaging in the test drive through Growth Company Catalyst. We also have an outreach program that is presented to accounting firm, law firms, and other kinds of groups. So that helps. We have a program 6 times a year. We bring in speakers relevant to what advisories, governance, investment, because a lot of our members get involved in helping clients get investors. Or at least I do, and I'm sure some of the other members do too. So we try to be ahead of the market with what potential small business needs. Now, I think a small business is under 200 million, but I've been told over and over again that it's under 500 million. But I stick to under 200 million. That's probably why I use that all the time.
Well, you know, I mean, that profile of clients covers a lot of territory. And there are some neighborhoods in the Philadelphia area where you can't drive more than a couple of miles without passing 50 or 60 people who probably need your help. You know, and I think that, Dr. Jacalyn, what do you think about executive leaders for advisory boards? Seriously.
I think it's fantastic. I'm just wondering, Candida, you said you already have, I'm sorry if I messed up the name, Candida. Is that right?
That's it.
Okay. So
for us, Doc.
Okay. So you already have your own business that you mentioned, and yet you're putting your heart and soul into this also. What is it that keeps you coming back and helping this organization grow?
Well, basically because it's been my passion, and I'm the founder, and they're, as I always tell them, they're stuck with me for quite a while throughout the bylaws, because there's some things in there that keeps me around. But I really believe, because for my clients, besides me being their private advisor, I've helped them build advisory boards that are culturally matched to them, their business, and I've seen that basically help a company strategically grow and stay in the market, financially secure, and support their employees and make them also financially secure. So I've seen the results when an advisory board is key to the company. It's not just some friends just gathered occasionally, but if you run the advisory board like a board, which is 4 times a year meetings, monthly conversation, then you're really taking your experience that business doesn't have, imparting it and helping them to succeed without going down a ditch all the time.
Wow.
That's interesting. I'm wondering, for people who are watching or listening, let's say there's a a whole group of people who are interested and like, I can't wait to reach out and call. What does that selection process look like?
To become a member of ELAB?
Yes.
There is a 3-tier process. We have the membership chair is well known in the industry for being a chief human resource officer. She has her own business now, but she came from large, prestigious corporate America, and she has a process that's unbelievable. Even if I recommend a member, my word's no good unless it gets through all the other 3 interviews. But I still have the last word. So I just sit tight till she goes through the process, and she does a fabulous. Her name is Adrienne Miller. She does a fabulous job to help, and it also helps the member that wants to come in that he or she is well matched to the organization, because this is not about finding a job or networking. This is about advisory boards and helping clients, potential clients or businesses. Same thing with our outreach chair, who makes presentations to companies about the value of this for accounting firms and law firms and other kinds of industry businesses. Tom Scurria, Jeff Klein, who chairs Growth Company Catalyst, he's put a process in place that matches nothing else I've ever seen. And he's just fantastic. And he's an entrepreneur. He's sold his company. He runs other companies, but he believes in the vision. I don't believe in the word mission. I only believe in the word vision. So we only have a vision and a rule of conduct. And he believes in it, and he's been fantastic in that. Frank Tate runs our programs, and he is I thought I was connected, but the man is way connected. And he brings in fantastic speakers. With the original chair was Beverly Prohaska, who again loves she put the charter together with Michael Brosetti on programs. We have a charter for each initiative so that we all stick to it. I'm the marketing chair, which someday I will be able to give that up. And we work with a marketing company, which is White Penny in Haddonfield. And they've been wonderful in helping us with getting to market. They have a process. And a lot of times you need a process to get done what you need to get done, especially if you're running your own business or the CEO or CIO or partner in your own business. You need to follow something to get the work done, especially since we're all doing this for free.
Well, I know we got a break coming up at some point, and I'm about to start a new topic that.
All right, good.
I'll just start it this way, Candida. I know that recently you were in Italy in Vatican Square, standing next to a couple of nuns looking up at the Pope. Or no, you were standing next to the Pope, and a couple of nuns were looking up at you and the Pope. And one of them said to the other nun, "Who's that standing next to Candida?" And
you just made that up.
Yes. And if I worked hard enough at it, I'd get that joke right. My point is, you can't build something like ELAB without knowing how to network, and you can't network without really feeling the process, not just knowing it. It's so much more than just collecting business cards, isn't it?
So wait, I just have to step in. I'm sorry, because it's time for a break. So and we're speaking of networking, we're going to hear from the concierge of networking, Ashley Owens. So yes,
when we come back, we'll hear from Candida about how she does it. I think that's great.
I know. I can't see the T up here. All right. It's all good. We'll be right back.
See you.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
She was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me, that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation started.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go to a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
I tried to ignore it, but my stomach issues were out of control. I couldn't fix them on my own. It was time to do something. A friend said the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation could help me find a specialist. Feels good to finally have a plan. Don't hide your symptoms. Get help at spillyourguts.org today.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hi there, welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show live on Business Talk Radio. Thank you to Chris Roberts for taking us out of the airways and also on social media. With me today, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Al Cini, and your fabulous guest and friend that you brought us, Candida Seasock. Thank you for joining us today, Candida.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And I love the music behind your marketing.
That was all Dr. Jacalyn. I mean, she plays multiple
music. That was just great. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. That was on a Saturday with iMovie, trying to figure out.
That was good.
Candida, just before the break and during the break, in fact, we were talking about the value of networking. And I know that you have built over the course of your, not just your career, but your life, a fabulous network of not just people, but competent friends who can solve problems. I mean, it's amazing how, not just how big your network is, but how valuable it is. How do you do that? What's your secret?
The secret is that I don't collect business cards. If I could go back a little bit in time, in 2002, I met Chris Pavlevis that had started GPSEG, the Greater Philadelphia Senior Executive Group, and he asked my help to build it. He saw something in me that I didn't see, because up to that point, I was, I want to use the word shy. I didn't like public speaking. I didn't like being in networks. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. And he kind of ignored all of it and said, okay, I need your help. And I realized that there was a side of me that I didn't know was there, and that I loved meeting people, putting them together, connecting them, helping them with their jobs, helping them get jobs. And I realized I had a vast network before 2002. And I also realized that business cards don't mean anything to me, that is. But what I could remember about the person and how I could help that person by understanding and having a conversation and listening. So a lot of it, you're going to laugh, Al, is in my mind. I do not have a database except what's on LinkedIn, and then I always have to look up the details. But I do not have a database in my mind of who do I have to connect with whom. When I see and talk to a person, I know I need to connect them to so and so. So there isn't it's my mind. It's all in my head because I really spent the time to understand the person I'm talking to and not just get the business card and pass it on. So it's about the personal touch.
It sounds like you're a really great listener, which is an attribute that is rare in some cases.
Yeah, it's. I think I learned it by the many mentors I had throughout my jobs, and then I think, learned it because I didn't want to speak too much because I had an accent. And I learned to listen so I didn't have to speak. But then I realized it was an asset to listen and then to speak. Most of the time on board meetings or advisory calls with my clients, I don't talk a whole lot. I just try to pull out what they're not listening to and help them to listen so they can be good at what they do.
Yeah. You know, there are a couple of lessons, a couple of takeaways from all that, Candida. One is if you really care about people, then you can build a network. But you've got to care about people and not just collect business cards. So what's in your head isn't just that person in their face, but what they do and what they love and what you love about them. That's what allows your brain to process your network in such a powerful way. And there's another lesson too that you didn't quite articulate, but it's definitely you. Amazing things can happen when it doesn't matter who gets the credit.
Oh, that's true.
I love that.
That is definitely true. And, you know, one of the things that I think you can always rely on Candida for is the solution, whether she gets the credit for it or not. And most of the time she doesn't. The solution is more important than the credit. And that's why she's such a wonderful coach to work with. And so okay, that's enough about Candida. Now talk for a second about some of the people you serve, Candida. What kind of response do you get from your clients and from ELAB's clients?
ELAB does not have clients. ELAB has advisors that can serve clients, right? Their own clients. Mm-hmm. Reword your question a little bit.
Well, let me tell you what some people have told me about working with you. You can always count on her to shoot straight and never from the hip. She always thinks before she opens her mouth. And if she hears me say anything that doesn't make any sense, she will let me know right away. And there will be no question about it.
I think they summed it up.
You know, and on top of that, your business experience. What have you done in your life at CFO, CEO? Talk about all that.
See, I got into the business world through IBM, and then left IBM and stayed in technology. Then I ended up deciding in '78 I needed a college degree. Got the college degree while I was working for Deloitte. And the partner in charge there basically became the first director for the business school of Rutgers and said, I need you to talk to the business school about what it's like to work, to be out there and work. And I said, I don't public speak. He says, well, that's all right. I put your name in there already. So I've had good mentors as bosses, you might say. But I've learned from the most negative ones what not to do. I think the skill comes through time, by redeveloping yourself. So Deloitte, I was a CFO twice for two of their companies, then decided I wanted to start a business in technology. And I served the clients of the small accounting firms, and I served the accounting firms, and they opened the doors to clients. I sold the business to Grant Thornton and became the first female CIO, and helped build their consulting practice. So as things evolved, and if I could do it, I would do it. I wouldn't be stuck on the title or the dollar amount associated with, even though I was, compensated correctly. And then I realized that after so many opportunities with corporate, I was better off on my own. So 2003 was when I decided I needed to go back on my own. I took the last package from another accounting firm that I was working at. And they gave me a package, and I left. And I said to my husband, Philip, I said, that's it. I'm not going back to corporate. I'm going to start my own business again. And that was 2003, and I continued from there. So I started CTS LLC and continued from there to evolve.
No. Well,
does that explain it pretty well?
It's a shame you haven't been doing anything.
It does. I want to throw something in because there's one thing, a number of things that Candida and I have in common, but one of them is we both have a technology background. You heard Candida mention that she was the chief information officer.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that a little bit because Candida is different from most of them. Candida doesn't believe that a computer is a goal. She believes that a computer is a tool. So there is no point being distracted by bright, shiny objects, and unless it actually solves a business problem. So if you're a company struggling with technology, another reason why you want to talk to Candida is that she's going to change the subject from technology to what is it you're trying to do with it.
Yeah,
there's tremendous power in that.
Absolutely.
About solving the business problem and using the best tools possible to get you there. We can automate all the mundane work, but there's still the brains of the human beings behind absorbing that and needing to do something with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
absolutely.
When I was CIO, none of my direct reports would ever dare to say to an employee when the help desk got called that make them feel bad because they had a problem. The object was to make them feel good and solve the problem.
Well, and the support lines I call with computer problems could learn a lot from you.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
Technology is so interesting. I have a technology background too, but just at a very lower level in sales. So it's really great to hear everything that you've accomplished. I know you said you're not about titles, but as one woman to another, one professional to another, congratulations on everything you've accomplished.
Thank you. I'll tell you a cute joke. When I was working for a huge accounting firm in Philadelphia, one of the big five, the managing partner called me because his computer wasn't working. I was CIO, and I said, well, why don't you call the help desk? And he's like, no, you're going to tell me what's wrong. And I said, well, you don't have it plugged in. He goes, really? I said, well, you kicked the plug. He says, can you go down? Could you go under the desk and plug it in? I said, no, I'm not crawling under the desk. He goes, well, I'm your boss. And I said, nah, not for that. And he just cracked up laughing. He goes, I should have known better to ask you to do that. And so he left to go to a meeting, and I actually plugged it in. I just didn't want to plug it in while he was around. But he figured it out later. But, in those days, they figured because you were a technologist, you could crawl under the desk and plug it in, solve all their problems, and it took them a long time to understand the chief information officer was just that, solving the business problem through technology, not the person that has to solve it in the technology, right?
Wow.
There's all kinds of other direct reports that can do a better job than I could ever done.
Well.
But that was one of the cute ones.
And while Candida is proficient in business, and she is definitely proficient in technology, she's also ultimately about people. And I don't think when we talk about business, we talk about people enough. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how every solution really is a people solution, Candida, and how you get to the bottom of a problem and to identify it, that it's a solution that requires doing something with people. How do you do that?
I discovered somewhere in the last 20 years that I could take the needle out of the haystack without the haystack coming down. And what I mean, I could find what was causing the problem, even in the set of accounting books or in the technology itself, or in some sort of employee challenge. And I could do it without destroying everything around it. I don't know how I acquired that talent, but I could probably tell you between my mother's entrepreneurship and coming to America and having a lot of common sense in raising two girls in America. And my family being very entrepreneurish. I probably was born with it and ended up developing it a lot more, where I could walk into an office, and clients have said to me, I can talk to their employees, walk into an office and tell them exactly what's going on, and nobody can figure out how I developed it. And it could be my sister, who's older than I am, but I'll always be younger than her. She was a super mentor for me. I mean, I adore her. She always made me come up 2 steps more so I could be better and a lot of it is intuition when you meet people too, better at what I was doing. No. She wouldn't take any slack. I couldn't get lazy with her anyway. So I think it's a gift. I might not have the gift of writing because I'm noted for one-liners, and either you get it or you don't, or you call me up. I do have a gift, I'm told from every client, to really see what the end result is before they get there.
Well, that clarity of vision is something I know we can count on you for. I know in the past your spell checker has caught fire and exploded. I've seen it do that, but you've always been able to make your point, and whenever you make your point, it's always right on. And I'm thinking really, really good clients for Candida are people who know that they don't know everything, and you can rely on Candida to close that gap in your knowledge that you need to close to be more successful. A bad client for Candida is somebody who thinks they already have the answers.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe I can't even be a client at that point.
How do you handle somebody who knows it all? What do you do with a know-it-all?
Well, I've had a couple situations where someone was recommended that I could help them out, but they had the answer to everything. So I was very honest. I said, look, you have the answer to everything. You don't need me. You need somebody that agrees with you, and I'm not that kind of advisor. So they go away, and that's fine. But if you aren't honest about it, then why even become their advisor if you're going to argue with them every step of the way? It should be collaborative advice. It shouldn't be my way or the highway because I own the company. And why did you hire, an advisor or a consultant or whatever the case is? I am an advisor. I'm not a consultant. Advisor doesn't do the work. I advise them on what they need. They can hire people to do the work.
From the moment you popped into the stream, my intuition said, this is a really good person. So I think at your core, you're just a really good, honest, loyal, decent person. And then you've accomplished all these other things as a result of that. So
as a result of that. And I don't know if you heard the generosity in her stories, but Candida is the kind of person who will give you everything she's got and never ask for anything in return. She just assumes. She is a go-giver, and I know we've used that phrase, and Bob Berg wrote a book with that title. You don't run into actually too many people who actually are go-givers, but Candida is definitely one of those.
He actually called me up, and I actually talked to him because he had heard about that the book was written around me, even though it was not, because I was the book in a sense. And I enjoy it. If you're not doing it from your heart, when you help people, then you don't, it tires you out. If you do things from your heart, it doesn't tire you out. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think it energizes you. It energizes you to help other people and then watch how it comes full circle and other people paying it forward. At least that's my experience.
Yeah. One of my concern with being not out there and meeting people was that maybe nobody would connect me to somebody that I could help. And I was pleasantly surprised when that didn't happen, because that is the thing that really makes my passion move, helping people look at things differently so they can either get a job or whatever the case might be. A lot of it has to do with the C-suites being out of work and never having done that in the last 20 years, and the world's all changed, and helping them think out of their own box.
Wow. I'm wondering, when you have personal time, what is it you like to do?
What do I like to do? Well, I don't run races anymore, so I do a lot of walking. I actually have been writing poems for 40 years. So I write poetry, and I got to do a lot of it the first 6 months through the crisis. And I walk a lot because I think about what I'm going to write. So that divago keeps me sane when all else seems to not be moving the way I would like it to. But writing poetry is a hobby. I used to paint, but poetry is probably the one that's been consistent. I enjoy spending time with my husband. Right now we watch a lot of the old mysteries. So I do like mysteries because mystery is solving a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And the old English mysteries are not bloody and gory, which is good, but they solve problems. And I enjoy that.
Good. Candida is a consultant who is worth every penny she charges, but she's absolutely not in it for the money. She's in it for the love of the work that she does. And I don't think you can recommend anybody more highly than with that. And I just really appreciate this opportunity to let the world know what a great friend I have in Candida. And it's just a pleasure, as always, talking with you. And where do you see eLab evolving over the next couple of years, Candida?
That was my question. Good one.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
I think having more companies come through Growth Company Catalyst so they can engage with our advisors, we call them advisors, not members. I don't think it can grow as a big organization because it's about not duplicating, but there is some crossovers with the expertise of our members. And there are other things I think about, but I haven't totally developed what can help the organization go forward. And I haven't discussed it with my board, so I think I keep my mouth shut before they might, yeah, right. So they'll never let me talk in public again.
I was going to say that would be a first, but
yeah, once in a while I behave myself.
Great.
Yeah, but if it gets that done, it gets serving the small businesses and helping them become strong in growth. That is a great accomplishment.
That is wonderful.
And I'm wondering, part of what Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the platform is about, it's about people sharing stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. So with all of your gifts and your experience and your talent for small business owners, medium-sized business owners who are listening or watching, and maybe they've been wiped out, maybe they're just hanging on by a thread, maybe they're stuck and they don't know what the next thing to do. What advice or direction could you give them to help them focus on what it is they need to accomplish to be solvent?
To surround yourself by people that are positive and can help you think out of your box. So if you fall down, you don't want to stay down. And if you can't get up by yourself, you want people to help you get up and take you forward. Don't surround yourself by negatives. Surround yourself by positive, and always have a sense of humor. All else fails, you can laugh at yourself and then change what you're doing, retool, and take it forward. Negatives bring you down. Positives will always bring you forward.
Great advice. I like the idea of humor, Al. I don't think we talk enough about that, the importance of humor, even in business, that you have to be able to look at something and say, wow, I messed up on that, and what did I learn from it? But even during this pandemic, when we're glued in front of our monitor or our television, watch a comedy show. Watch something that it has the ability for you to, it's
watch a mystery on Turner Classic Movies. Do what Jacalyn does.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's one thing when my clients get stressed out, I'll find something humorous to make them laugh.
That's good.
And they'll just give me that, that look like, oh, she's at it again. Because nothing is that serious. It's, the only thing that's serious is death. And we're not dead. We can change, we can retool, and we can go forward. So the only thing you can't really laugh at is death because you're gone, right?
Yeah, that is. But up until then, there are always options.
There's always options. There's always hope.
That is so important. Wow.
And I'm sure you already know this, but Mr. Cini is quite humorous himself.
That's why I love him. Sometimes I just text him and say, "What are you doing?" Just so I can listen, talk, and he'll find something humorous to talk about, and we can laugh.
We have never had a boring lunch conversation ever, and as soon as this pandemic is over with, maybe even before then, let's get together and do that.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yes.
So for our friends on Business Talk Radio, what's the best way to contact you for either of your businesses? Both of them, I should say.
You can find me on LinkedIn under Candida Seasock. Touch is my maiden name. And my contact information is on there. It's on the screen at pjsctscomcast.net. And my phone number is 609-471-1188. And I've had that mobile number for 30-some years.
Oh, my gosh.
I had it when it was a car phone, when it was screwed into the car.
Oh, my gosh. I love that.
We remember when phones were built into the car. They used to be bolted to the console.
Right, as soon as I found out that mobile phone would work in a car, and I didn't have to stop at a phone booth when I traveled a lot, I bought it. That was it. Didn't have to go to a phone booth anymore.
Funny.
Oh, just the idea of a phone booth. Do they even have payphones anymore?
No.
No.
My grandson was with us in New York once, and we walked by a phone booth, and he stopped and he asked me what that was. And
did you say Superman jumps out?
For 3 solid days after that.
Did you tell him Superman jumped out of it?
Yeah, right.
No, it's amazing. When I discovered that car phone was going to work up and down that turnpike, I said, "That's it. I'm buying it."
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to what you were saying before about solving a problem, and it's not about the technology. When we think about the phone and the whole evolution of the phone, it's not about the device, right?
And knowing what I know about Verizon and their ability to complete calls that I make, they should be contacting Candida right now for her advice on how to solve that problem.
You have challenges?
You.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my gosh. Well, we're at the top of the hour. I can't believe it already.
Oh, my goodness.
Any final words from either of you for our audience? Words of wisdom?
If you're a business, surround yourself by the best possible people that can support you as outsider, but be very good to your employees that support you. And you can't function as a company without your employees. So I would say they're the 2 good things to remember.
That's excellent.
And I'll add a third thing. If you're looking for a mentor, a consultant, an advisor for your business, that lady, Candida Seasock, you definitely want to reach out and get a hold of her.
You're so kind, Al, but thank you so much for inviting me to the show.
Total pleasure for us. Thanks, Candida.
Thank you for being here. We'll be backstage in just a minute if you wait for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, you're fabulous. Yes, everything you said was true. And of course, I have no reason to think otherwise because you are a man of integrity and you surround yourself with people of integrity.
Actually, the integrity thing was how I washed out of eLab, but that's a whole other story. But no, they are a great crew of people. And a lot of my friends are members, are part of the eLab organization, advisors in eLab. And they're a great team. And you can't do better than have a conversation with Candida. You can learn so much from it.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for introducing me to her and our audience. I'm wondering as we close out the show, Al, our next show is at 4:00. It's A Better You. And since you have some really great ideas about this platform and program, would you share with our audience what A Better You is and why people should be interested?
Sure. I mean, and Candida actually would be, I think, a great candidate for a presentation on A Better You. But there are so many people out there who are expert in so many different fields. And if they can figure out how to create a 10 or 15-minute lesson to teach somebody something that will make their lives better or improve their business or their careers, then A Better You is about bringing those stories to an audience that really needs to hear them. And so A Better You is partly this platform on video to do that, which you're doing later today. Dr. Jacalyn, and it's also eventually going to become an online platform where you can go online to replay and learn and take a quiz based on what you learn from these lessons to actually change your life based on these stories.
That's absolutely right. And our session today is at 4:00, as I mentioned, and we're having a woman from New Zealand. Her name is Mariska Duprez. She's going to join us. And then at 5:00, we have Wrapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents I Have a Story to Tell. And we're going to be joined by my brother-in-law, John Wilson, who's going to talk to us about how his life has been changed by the practice of yoga and by becoming a 200-hour certified yoga instructor. So,
wow, great.
Yeah. So that's all for our program today. We look forward to seeing you later today at 4:00 or 5:30. And thank you for joining us. We will be on the business show tomorrow. We have a special business edition. We're interviewing JJ Gott. So join us for that at 1:00. All right. Thank you. See you later.